Good evening. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. Good evening, good evening. Oh, look at who is here. Good evening and welcome to the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture, where we say it loud. We are Black and we are what? Proud. Well, all right. We are where scholars and artists, performers and educators come to discuss Black history and Black culture. My name is Novella Ford, and I'm the Associate Director of Public Programs and Exhibitions. For over 100 years, with its origins at the original 135th Street Library, the Schomburg has been the intellectual heart of Harlem, and we thank you for contributing to the communities that affirm our work every day. We are celebrating the Schomburg Center's 100th anniversary all year long, so we hope you will return again and again. Now, how many people, this is your first time at the Schomburg Center? Okay, so we're going to change that, right? We're going to start seeing you over and over and over again? Okay. Well, we have been doing this for 100 years, basically within this square radius from 135th Street and Lenox Avenue, Malcolm X Boulevard, to where the 135th Street Library is. And right now, throughout the building, you can see a terrific exhibition called 100, A Century of Collections, Community and Creativity, showcasing extraordinary items from our collections, including James Baldwin and Malcolm X, the incredible actors and activists Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis. Ann Petrie's collection, we have a wonderful collection of letters and books, and if you may not know Ann Petrie wrote The Street, and it was the first novel by an African American to sell over 1 million copies, and that was like in the 1940s, 1930s. So that is the kind of excellence that you will find here at the Schomburg Center. So if you are not familiar with our collections, I hope that you become familiar through our exhibitions and through much of the programming that we'll be doing throughout the year. Just a few weeks ago, we had a terrific Schomburg Centennial Festival. Anybody here for the festival a couple of weeks ago? Despite the rain, we had such an incredible turnout. We had over 70 authors and participants from around the world and within our own backyard. And of course, all of the programming was for all ages. I like to say that we were serving books and brains and body rolls, okay? We had D Nice, The Soapbox Presents, and Slick Rick, who helped to party the rain away at our community block party. We also gave away all kinds of free books, like an early preview of The Best Man, Unfinished Business. And it was shared with me, there was someone who came, and it was actually the very first person to take a free book of The Best Man. And she shared with me that she never used to read for pleasure, but a life-changing set of events had her seeking connection and healing. And she wrote to me and said, I joined a book club and it helped me rediscover parts of myself that I forgot existed. The Best Man is one of my favorite films because it depicted a successful group of Black friends with depth, complexity, and joy, centering on love, friendship, and personal growth. I relay this story just to remind us the power of books, the power of literature, and the power of community. And that is why we are so glad that you are joining us today for this particular launch. So please give yourselves a round of applause. I invite you to learn more about the Schomburg Center and our upcoming programs by visiting our website at schomburg.org. I want to say thank you to Jackie Bazan and Gwyneth and the entire team that has been working on the launch of this particular book, as I know that we are the beginning of the tour, but it does not stop here. So if you are enjoying yourselves tonight, please share it with friends who might be able to catch them on tour around the country. Thank you for joining us here in Harlem, as well as online, for Between the Lines of The Best Man, Unfinished Business by Malcolm D. Lee with Jane Allen. Yeah, go ahead and give them a round of applause. Malcolm D. Lee is a writer, director, and producer whose directorial work includes his critically acclaimed feature film debut, The Best Man, which came out in 1999. We screened that earlier today, and I can remember I had just graduated college, and my fellow Bisons, we all descended on NYC, ready to take the stage. Do I have other Bisons in the house? Okay. Other HBCU graduates in the house? Okay. Other folks who believe that education is important, okay? All right. I don't want to leave y'all out, but you know, HU, you know. Well, we had just graduated, and we were ready to take the stage. And though the cast was slightly older in this particular film, it gave us a glimpse of what being a Black professional, committed to our friendships, committed to our careers, and to love could look like. Well, when I opened this book, it was like visiting with old friends, and I'm rooting for them all, and I'm sure you all will as well. Malcolm's work also includes Girls Trip, Night School, and The Best Man in the final chapters. His company, Black Mailed Productions, is dedicated to telling diverse stories that contribute to changing and amplifying narratives of people of color. Now, he had the good fortune of teaming up with Jane Allen, who is the author of the best-selling Black Girls Must Die Exhausted novel series. Yeah, give it up for her. And The Most Wonderful Time. Allen crafts transcultural stories that touch upon contemporary women's issues, among others. I'm so pleased that we are able to have her with us this evening, as she was one of our folks that we worked with during the pandemic when we weren't able to put on the festival for 2 years. Her publishers allowed us to do free giveaways of her book, and there were so many people who were writing to us asking us, oh, are there more books? Are there more books? And so it's so incredible to see Jane paired and teamed up with Malcolm. Now, someone who rarely needs an introduction, of course, is Bevy Smith. She is a quintessential Harlem girl, Gracie Award winner and lifelong New Yorker. Bevy Smith is the host of series XM's Bevelations on Radio Andy. Always pushing the boundaries, Bevy embarked on a new acting career and has appeared as a fan favorite as Aunt Tammy on the first 2 seasons of the Prime Video series Harlem. Smith's debut book, Bevelations, Lessons from a Mother, Auntie, and Bestie, which details her transition from a fashion advertising executive to a media personality, was published through Andy Cohen Books. Bevy's debut TED Talk in April of 2022, breaking down her greatest bevelation, It Gets Greater Later, has garnered over 7 million views, translated into multiple languages, and was the top 3 TED Talks of 2022. So we have an incredible conversation, of course, that is going to come up next. And then, of course, afterwards, we like to have a little brains and beauty, and then a little body rolling afterwards, right? And so we're going to do a little of that as well. So please visit the Schomburg shop to get a copy of The Best Man Unfinished Business, which I know a lot of you all have already done so. But if you have not, if we still have copies, they will be available in the shop. And you can join us in the Langston Hughes lobby after the program for a tasting by Sable Bourbon, which was launched in 2024. Go ahead and give it up for those in the house who believe in that. It was launched in 2024 by Harold Perrineau, Malcolm D. Lee, Morris Chestnut, and Taye Diggs. Now, you must be 21 and over to take part, and yes, we are wristbanding you because that is the only way that you will get a drop on your tongue, okay? So please take this time to silence your cell phones, and if you're looking to share tonight's program, it is available on live streaming at the Schomburg's YouTube channel at youtube.com/the Schomburg Center. That's youtube.com/the Schomburg Center. With that said, we're going to have a good time this evening. Yeah, we're going to have a good time this evening. I think we're going to maybe party like it's 1999 a little bit. So please welcome Bevy Smith, Malcolm D. Lee, and Jane Allen.
Let's act like we from Harlem, y'all.
Harlem.
Let's get into some things. First of all, I want to say how happy I am to be in the house, the esteemed house of the Schomburg, with my friend, the acclaimed director, Mr. Malcolm D. Lee. And when I tell y'all he did his big one with this, look how dog-eared it is. Like, I literally read this on the beach. So, congratulations, Malcolm. You did a wonderful job with this book. Your first novel.
First one?
Yeah. His first, but not his last.
Nope.
Okay? So I know that you have a little treat for us. You're going to read a little excerpt from this incredible book. Would you do us the honor?
Yeah, I mean, I've never done this before. I've never read in front of people before, so I'm gonna, do my best on this. So please be kind. But this is what's happening here. Thank you for showing up, everybody. This is day one of the book release, and I'm so appreciative that you guys are here. And there seems to be a nice groundswell of folks who, are looking forward to this book. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a taste on this, because what's happening here is I'm going to give you a little bit of taste of what's happening with Harper. Maybe you know that Harper is, now divorced, and he is supposed to go to a dinner party for Candace. You guys know who Candace is. That's Murch's wife. We're all familiar with the characters, correct? So Harper's about to find out a few things about his wife. He's been trying to get the right gift for Candace. Not a great gift giver, and he's gonna find out a couple of surprises on the way. He tried to enlist Robin's help, as he's had before when he was married, but she's not really available because she's busy, booked and busy. So here we go. Lincoln Center, once a Black and Puerto Rican populated area of the city. Over the years, it has changed to house classical music, jazz, and ballet performances. And most important on this night, celebrity chef Kwame, Black-owned Afro-fusion cuisine restaurant Tatiana. Harper stepped out of his Uber and shifted his massive package in his hands to walk across the plaza on a chilly night. A smiling patron held open the 12-foot glass door so he could enter. A gust of warm air inside was a welcome contrast to the outdoor elements. From the vestibule in his dimly lit yet super chic eatery, the din of buzzing conversation and the driving pulse of hip-hop music filled the space with high energy and spirited voices. The ceiling was lofty, the space was airy, featuring ultra-modern accents, bronze tables, cafe con leche, colored leather chairs, and a long, thick, underlit marble slab for the bar. Light fixtures floated down from the ceiling, designed to look like pastel clouds in the sky. It was the perfect setting for Candace's birthday gathering, chic and soulful, and the music was a vibe, the personification of grown and sexy, catering to everyone. There was something special about being in an upscale establishment that managed to keep it black as fuck, which made it therefore cool as fuck. Just as Harper approached the hostess stand with his super expensive, massive, quote, thoughtful, unquote, gift, a message from Robin hit his smartphone. Hey, sorry for the delay. She loves soy candles. You can personalize this one to send. She'll love it. Fuck. That is perfect. Why didn't I think of that? Robin's message continued. Tell everyone I said hello, have fun. Fucking soy candle. Suddenly, his innovative Himalayan salt lamp seemed real lame in comparison. The saleswoman had espoused the health benefits, relieving allergies, improving mood, and something about better sleep. What 50-year-old parent doesn't want that, right? He handled the awkward gift, continuing to shift in his arms. When he reached out to the coat check, he finally put it down to remove his cashmere overcoat and camel fedora. He thought about briefly checking the gift, too. Nah, I'll just give it to her, he decided. His 6 friends were already seated at the center of the restaurant, laughing and having fun. Even in a sea of well-dressed, mostly Black clientele, his crew stood out in look and sound. His peeps were the personification of Black excellence. But, as he expected, the couples were seated across from one another. 3 neat sets of 2, evenly slotted and spaced, gazing into each other's eyes. What did he expect? What did you expect, Harp? Boy, girl, boy, girl? He was definitely the 7th wheel and the odd man out. When he reached his friends, they were all transfixed on Quentin, regaled by his animated storytelling. It took a full 10 seconds before anyone even looked up. Q has always been a great commander of attention. Hey, y'all, Harper said by way of announcement. As animated as they were prior to his arrival, the group lit up even further at Harper's presence. He was greeted with a chorus of, Harper, Harp. The feeling was beautiful. He bent down to kiss the lady of honor. Happy birthday, Candace. She gave her cheek, and so as not to smear her makeup with his slight scruff, Harper aimed a careful cheek-to-cheek air kiss around the generous fluff of her hair. Then he handed her the unwieldy gift. Here you go. It's imported from Pakistan. Oh, thanks, Harper. Candace reached for the large gift with both hands, but once the weight of it transferred, Harper scrambled to forward to help it as she narrowly dropped it. Mert swept him from the side of the package, his struggling wife, to join Harper in placing it on the floor. Harper gestured toward it awkwardly. It's a Himalayan salt lamp. It's supposed to help light the room, help with sleep, allergies, stuff like that. Makes you calm, too. Maybe you should have got one for yourself, player, Quentin commented. Everyone laughed as Harper gave a good-natured grimace. Oh, you could have just got her a nice bottle of wine like I told you, Mert commented. He was just trying to be thoughtful. Candace chimed in. It was thoughtful. Keisha has terrible allergies. We can put it in her room. She smiled brightly. Thank you, Harper. It looks great. And so do you, handsome. Come on, man, have a seat. Mert just directed him to the 7th wheel seat at the end of the table. To exile, alone, out in the cold. Lance stood to give him a dap. Yo, you all right, dog? I'm good, bruh. Good to see you, Harp. Quentin punctuated his greeting with a fist bump. Harper cheek kissed and shoulder squeezed Shelby and Jasmine before making his way to his last seat. What you drinking? Mert bellowed, over the house mix of Janet Jackson's That's the Way Love Goes. The way the table looked, and all perfectly arranged with 3 couples basking in the glow of each other's company, that's the way love goes indeed, Harper thought. Wine, I guess. He gestured toward the red blend at the center of the table. Jasmine was closest to it and took up the bottle and poured for him. Harper tried to protest with, oh, you don't have to. Oh, thank you, Jasmine. But Jasmine's Caribbean lilt mildly admonished him. You know I'm in the hospitality business, so don't you fret. Harper nodded and raised his glass with toast and thanks before taking a sip. No date tonight, Harper?
Oop.
Lance smirked at Jasmine's innocent inquiry. Harper smiled at the pronunciation of his name and told some truth about his solo appearance. I was forbidden, Jasmine. Forbidden? Oh, stop it. Shelby waved the hand of carefully manicured stiletto-shaped nails in the air. Facts, Harper pronounced. But it's all good. This isn't really an event for someone new. It's intimate. It hasn't stopped you before, Shelby was snarky retort. You seeing someone new, Harper? Jasmine leaned forward with interest. Well, kinda, a couple, a few. What happened to the girl you brought to our New Year's Eve party? The one with the generous backside. I haven't talked to her in a while. Take your time, dog, Lance remarked as he rubbed Jasmine's exposed brown shoulder. She was wearing a simple yet stunning off-the-shoulder jewel-toned top that perfectly set off her skin, turning it copper. Her perfectly textured hair was grown out, creating a halo of curls on her head. Both of them looked so comfortable and relaxed together. Harper sighed. No doubt, but I'm not even looking like that. Yeah, old Harper's getting his freak on for all of us. Quentin's voice carried from the end of the table, creating another round of laughs. Harper cut his eyes back at his oldest friend. Shut up, Quentin. You get plenty of freak where you stay too, nigga. Shelby said as she gestured towards him, taking a sip from her wine glass. Don't make me bring one of these Dominican mommy waitresses up here to double team your ass. That's cool, just no pegging, Quentin joked. Everyone laughed as Shelby playfully hit his shoulder and puckered his lips for a kiss. She obliged with a lover's giggle. You might like it, boy. Candace chimed in. Shit, we getting past 50. You better try some stuff so at least you know. Shit, I know. Nobody playing with this dookie shoot. Save that for merch. Quentin joked, mine is closed as well. And can we please not ruin our dinner with this dookie shoot talk? Shelby said, you liked the little ass play back in the day. Quentin cut his eyes at Merch. Shelby said, Quentin, I did not say that. She turned to Merch. Julian, get your boy. Candace, I'm so sorry. Candace smiled like she'd just been told a secret. Don't be shit. I'm thankful for the information. Things might get spicy tonight. She pinched his ass. Then he shook his head at Quentin. You see what you started? You're welcome. Harper took into his friends and enjoying their respective partners' gazes, flirty touches, and pet names. He had none of that to participate in. As a reflex, he cleared his throat. So is this a prefix menu? We doing family style, ordering a bunch of stuff? Menu's already planned, Harp. Yep, Robin would be impressed. Robin. Harper hadn't expected the mention of his ex. Merch never failed. With what? The fact that the menu or Harper is solo? Neither did Quentin. Laughter and smiles returned to the table as Harper rolled his eyes. When they were together, Robin was certainly the connective tissue that made these social connections all work with ease. She compensated for Harper's shortcomings. Whenever he drifted away, she was present. Particularly tonight, he felt her absence. Being here without her felt like an amputated limb. She sends her love, by the way, Harper remarked. Robin, she texted right before I came in. She's so sweet, Candace says. She gave me a birthday FaceTime today. But she was too busy to text me back, Harper thought. She looks fantastic. She really adjusted to life out there. Despite her words, Candace's tone was saying one thing to Harper. You fucked up, nigga. Candace and Harper had always been cool. Maybe became cooler because of her relationship with Robin, but after the divorce, there had been a noticeable shift in their interactions. She felt their divorce. How could she not? They were chosen family, but Candace was certainly taking some obvious personal satisfaction in her girl doing well. Oh yeah, and Robin's nest is doing well too, Murch added. Mia's adjusting well, and she's seeing somebody. Ooh. Ow! The hurt-looking Murch turned to Candace, turned the classic black wife, nigga, are you serious look? From the far end of the table, Harper wasn't sure he heard correctly. Seeing somebody? Ironically, this was the moment that everyone turned to him. All 6 pair of eyes were now focused on him with their full attention. Harper looked at Quentin and Lance to his right. They shared his expression clearly. Yeah, nigga, you heard right. Quentin said, have some more wine. Harper had his glass filled and what was he feeling? Surprise? But also, why didn't I know about this? Was he jealous? Really? Harper tried to evoke nonchalance. Good for her. That's great. I hope he's worthy of her. He sure seems to be on paper. Candace couldn't seem to help but point out. On paper? Is she dating a hashtag couple goals, brother? Anyway, I got a nice bouquet from Jordan before she left town. Oh, hell no. Before she left town? Now it was Harper who couldn't help himself. There was no poker face to be had. Jordan was in New York? His shock was obvious. The bulk of the table seemed genuinely surprised at Harper's reaction, Murch especially. You didn't see her? I thought you guys were in touch. We were. I mean, life be lifing. We're both pretty busy, as always. His eyes found Lance. His friend held the look for a moment, and then he pursed his lips before looking away. I talked to her last night, Shelby added. I tried to get her to stay and change her flight, but I guess she wanted to get back to that Malibu life. So nobody saw her. Harper knew the question had made its way into his voice, despite desperately wanting to sound declarative. A chorus of no, nah. She must be busy, Harper mused. Life be life, and Harper re-entered the chat. Word. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's more, but let's get on with it.
So as you guys can see, the book literally reads like a film. So that's the reason why you're all gonna buy it and love it, because it is because you know the characters, you know them so well, and you're gonna see their faces as you're reading the book. So let's talk a little bit about the freedom of writing a novel versus a film, because I'm sure you were able to really kind of mine and really go much deeper.
Yeah, that's what the written word and the novel allows you to do, to really get inside these characters' spaces and in their brains in a much more intimate way. We get to know them in a much more intimate. I think people think they know these characters very well, and they do, but now you're gonna get inside their subconscious and their conscious. And with the novel, it does, expand on, even though movies and television are great, I'll never leave it, but it's like you get to use all 5 senses: sight, sound, taste, feel. So it's really, it was freeing, and people really wanted more from these characters, and they wanted another series, and they wanted another movie. And listen, easy. All I'm gonna tell you is it's very hard to mount such a thing. And in this book, we get to travel to 4 different cities, 2 different continents. Yeah. You don't get to do that on a budget with the movies that I'm doing. It's very difficult to do it, and it takes time. And better to get you story that I think people really wanted to get a feel for now.
Yeah, and also, to reiterate, you really will feel like you're watching a film as you read. And so I want to know from you, when you're writing all of these vivid characters, are you envisioning Tay, and are you envisioning Nia and Sanad? Do you see them as you're writing?
It's impossible not to, given that we've had nearly 3 decades of these actors embodying these roles, and they embody them so well, it's impossible not to think about seeing their faces and their bodies, how they dress, yeah. And what their expressions would be. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, that certainly informed the narrative quite a bit. And I think, Jane, who you'll meet later, like definitely, got a taste of that when she would, write a passage and be like, no, he would do this or she would do that and da da da. And so, so those, it's impossible not to picture that. And I think it's one of the great advantages of this book and having the movies and the television show preceding it, that you will have a cinematic experience in reading this book.
One of the quotes in the book that I really enjoyed is Harper says to Jordan, "Growth doesn't come from doing easy things." And I think we can all say an amen to that, right? So I want to know, how much growth did you experience from writing this book? Because I know this was not an easy thing.
No, it wasn't easy, but it also felt pretty natural. And, particularly because I had a writing partner who had, had experience writing it before. And I knew the characters very well, and I knew I wanted this book to be literary. I did not create this to be like, oh, now let's transfer it into a movie or let's make it into a television series. I wanted it to be its own experience. And I think, I don't know that I've grown, but I would say that the timeline in which we wrote this book was very short, considering, and so I learned that was tough. That definitely made me grow. I mean,
Did you write it during the pandemic?
No, we started writing this. I met Jane, I think February of 24, and we started writing in March of 24.
Wow, that was fast.
Yeah. It was indeed, but very, very satisfying. I think I'm very proud of this book. That it's my debut novel, and I think people are really going to enjoy it. I mean, I think that, again, it's if you know and love the characters of The Best Man, you're going to love the book. Even if you don't and aren't familiar with them, you're going to enjoy this book. I think there's a lot in here about healing and growth and emotion and pain and people's backstory and what makes them who they are based on their childhood upbringing.
Yeah.
You know.
Speaking of that, healing and growth and childhood backstories, we find our strong Black woman, Jordan, really exploring these things. She's in therapy for the first time ever. She was so against it.
Yeah.
She does it, and she starts to really grow from this. And she finds out a lot of things about herself. But she also finds out that the strong Black woman ideal that she has been sold her entire life kind of doesn't serve her anymore.
No, it doesn't. I think that, that's the thing. That's one of the things that we talk about in the book is that, things have been thrust upon us as a community, thrust upon Black women and what they're supposed to be and what a strong Black woman is. And there are so many strong Black women, but they need help too. They can't just do it, they expect to do everything by themselves.
That deserves a clap.
So even though they appear strong and they appear independent and everything, there's it's not like something that you have to cling on to all the time. And Jordan comes to realize that, I don't have to do this, right? She's been all about the grind her entire life. And even now, she's consulting. She's moved to Malibu. She's, trying to get into her own self-care. And it's working for her, but she still has the pull of the grind because she's only ever known that.
Yeah. And she also has voices in her head, which we go into in the book.
That's right.
Because she has childhood trauma that comes up, and she didn't even know that was a part of her kind of DNA. Yeah.
No, it's thanks to Harper that he helps her to unearth a childhood memory that really has come to define her as an individual. So it's very emotional for her in doing that, but it was all part of a creative exercise that turned into something else for her in the book. And that was really kind of wonderful about the exploration of these characters in this much more deep and profound way.
Yeah. You mentioned Harper and Jordan a couple of times, together.
Did I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that right?
So I think some of us, do they or don't they? And some of us want to know that, yeah?
Do they or don't they what exactly? I'm confused. I mean, look, I will just say that he is divorced. He is trying to fill a void in his life. She has moved away in part because she had to let him be the artist that he was going to eventually be. But there is a pull for her, and he is certainly wanting to reconnect with her after he has won the Pulitzer Prize, after he's got all this financial success, but he's alone. So what does that mean? What is that combination going to result in?
He's alone, but he's not necessarily lonely.
He ain't by
He's
himself.
in these streets.
He's a little bit in these streets.
Yeah, baby, he's in these streets. And we find that he has become a bit of a, excuse my French, a fuckboy. Well, yeah.
Well,
As a woman, when y'all read the book, y'all gonna be like, oh yeah, Bevy was right. He's a fuckboy. Yeah. Yeah.
little bit. He's
As a
trying to
single-
find his way,
Yeah,
trying to figure things out, trying to figure out how he fits into this new life of his, this new suit, if you will.
His birthday suit.
Yeah, that part too.
It's baby. Well, that's when the other part. What I really enjoyed too is that even though you don't have a visual, the way Jane and Malcolm have written these characters, you see them, and I mean you see them. So you may not actually have a picture of the oddies and everything, but everyone, baby, when you read, you're like, oh yeah.
You'll see it.
You'll see it.
You will see it.
It's giving very Stars, the network. You know. No, because Stars has the best sex scenes out of any network.
Sex scenes, really?
Yes.
It is spicy. I will say that. It is a little spicy.
It is. And as a single lady, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So sisters, buy a couple of copies for your single girlfriends to take to the vineyard.
Yeah, I applaud that. I second that.
Right.
And the brothers should read it too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, I think that one of the things that has gotten lost is I wrote The Best Man for men.
Yeah.
Like that's what I wanted to tell a story about, 4 black men who were educated, who were aspirational, you know, who were all different, but yet had this connectivity of their shared experience in college. And I wasn't even trying to cater to black women, but they came along for the ride. And they've been the greatest supporter of the franchise.
Yeah.
So I love that. But I don't want the brothers to forget that, yo, man, this is for y'all. Because when it comes time to get to the book clubs and the debates and all that, you know, we're going to be outnumbered. So y'all got to step up and read the book too, and show why Harper may be an F-boy.
Yeah.
And everything else.
Just might. Well, something I think that will appeal to black men is certainly the idea of black excellence that runs throughout. You know, that's a constant theme throughout the films, but also in the book. But this time around, you kind of turn it on its ear, and you show the underbelly and the price one pays to be a part of the black excellence movement. So talk a little bit about why you decided to dissect that idea.
You know, it's one of the things that you can do with a novel. You can really like get underneath, you know, what makes a character tick. You can try to do it on screen. Your actors can do wonderful things to display that, but you have a finite amount of time that you can really do that. So when it came to black excellence, you know, there's always a price to pay, you know, and I wanted to explore that in the book, and we're going to explore it more in the subsequent novels. You know, there's a lot that's going on with these characters that we've been trying to just, you know, tell a very full story. And this is just an extension, I think, of my mission in, you know, telling full black stories with authenticity.
Yes, great authenticity, and someone who helped you bring this beautiful book to life. Your co-author is Miss Jane Allen. Let's bring her to the stage. Thank you, Jane. Y'all know I would have got up for Jane, but these 6-inch heels is like you get in a seat and you stay until you gotta leave. So forgive me, Jane. Jane, congratulations on co-authoring this beautiful book. And I have to say, you know, when I was reading it, I was like, ain't no way in the world Malcolm wrote all these old sex scenes that got me all stirred up. But
You look at it.
But before we even get into that, I read that you asked Malcolm, do you want to win?
Yes, I did.
And I have to say, he must have said yes, and he definitely did win with this. So talk a little bit about what it was like to get a call from the Malcolm D. Lee to say, yeah, I want you to be a part of this trilogy of telling this incredible story, and like really, these characters, they're so beloved.
Right.
So if you had mucked it up, girl, you couldn't even show your face around the book.
Right. It was a life or death situation.
Yes.
Basically, I had to show up with the goods. But when I first got the email from Malcolm's agent, I thought I didn't know if it was real. So I sent it to my agent. I was like, can you vet this? Because it sounds amazing. But I need to know it's real, and it was. And I was overjoyed because as an author and as an artist, to be even in the contention to uphold something that is such a cultural icon and so important to us as a culture, it was overwhelming, but I know that I could do it. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to make sure it was the right fit, because I also felt that I have a vision for who I want to be as an artist, to meet this moment, to make the offer, to do something that's going to enrich people's lives. So when I asked Malcolm, do you want to win? I meant, are you going to go all the way? You know, because I'm going to go all the way. Will you go all the way with me to do the excellence that at the highest level? And I knew that was.
Wait a minute. Was it about the excellence, or was it about like, yo, do you want to break some records with this?
Well, that's part of it.
With this
That's
sale.
part of it. That
All
was
the
part
things,
of it.
all the things.
Yeah, it was all the things.
Yes. You know, we all love the characters, and we all have our favorites. I won't tell you who my favorite is, but I bet you Malcolm can guess. But who you think?
Jordan.
It's actually a mixture. Can you guys guess?
Jordan and Shelby.
Jordan Shelby.
Jordan and Shelby.
I get both of them like so me. So for you, which character were you most excited to tackle?
Well, I told Malcolm that Jordan Armstrong is a saint, and she can do no wrong. So, I teased him about that back and forth. But I was really excited to voice Jordan because I came from corporate America, and when you devote your life in corporate America and you don't get back what was promised, you know, it was so inspiring to see her walk away and say, I choose me. And that was so epic. So to be able to explore that and voice that for me was something I was excited to tackle, for sure.
I also love the fact that we really get the depth and the breadth of Robin. I feel like we've never had this much Robin in the films or in the series. And so for me, that was very, I found that to be quite delicious, especially because she's in Accra. She's in Ghana, y'all. She done made it to Africa, which most of us are now trying to book our flights. And Jordan is there waiting, Robin is there waiting for us. Talk a little bit about the Accra of it all, and what was that like to, because also Accra is a literal character in the book. They write it beautifully.
Thank you. I mean, I want to say that, you know, from the Best Man final chapters, when Robin decides to not only choose herself, but move across the Atlantic with her daughter, there were a lot of people who were very upset with her. Mm-hmm. Really like said, oh, she's the enemy, and how could she, and da-da-da-da. And so, like, they were really vilifying her, and I really wanted an opportunity to kind of have an opportunity to have her explain herself. You know, it wasn't just about the disillusionment of her marriage, but it was also disillusionment with the country. You know, and feeling like she wanted to be someplace where she didn't have to be thinking about her hair texture and, you know, her skin color, and where everybody was black. And so, you know, we really wanted to tackle that. And like, we did our first pass, you know, and we were in the midst of it, and Jane was like, you know, we gotta go to Ghana. We gotta like go there and like, you know, and see what it's like. I'm like, yeah, I guess that's probably the smart thing to do. And And so, you know, we were looking online at, you know, restaurants and this and that, and it was like, you're not really gonna know anything until you immerse yourself in the culture. So, you know, right after we wrote the first draft, I went to Ghana, spent some time there, got a much larger breadth of what it was gonna be about. And so when I came back, I was like, we gotta rewrite.
The whole thing. We had to rewrite the whole thing.
Well, not the whole thing, but Robin's parts, yes.
Yeah, the whole, it was a complete rethinking because Ghana and Accra in particular did become a character. And the richness, when you read the book, you will go. You will taste the food, you will breathe the air.
You're transported.
Yeah, and so it comes from walking the soil and breathing the air.
And interacting with the people.
Yeah.
You know, that is, you know, it was just to let people know, movie and television show, very difficult to mount. Very difficult. You want to shoot where? And you want to shoot in how many cities and how many continents? It's all 8 of them. It's almost cost prohibitive.
Yeah, they would be like, well, why don't you go to Central Park and we can like put some huts and we'll make that Africa,
That's
okay?
exactly right. That's exactly right.
All trees.
Yeah, we'll go to Toronto. They want to go
There
to
you go,
Toronto
there you
for
go.
everything.
Yep.
No, I mean, and that's something that I really love as someone who's gone to Accra and loved it and loved the richness of it.
Yeah.
And you guys really captured the richness of Accra. Can we talk a little bit about Robin's extracurricular activities while she's...
Well, you know, Robin hasn't been desired in a long time. She hasn't been courted in a long time. She's been with Harper a very long time, and she says, you know, this part of my, I deserve this.
Yeah.
I deserve to have someone look at me a certain way and treat me a certain way. And she does find herself a nice little businessman, local, who's, you know, trying to holler at her.
Yes.
You know?
And he is also eye candy, and you guys write him beautifully. So if there was a book version, who is her love interest? Is it Idris? Is it Kofi's a little young for it, but so who you thinking?
I think Idris is a great choice. If you want to picture
So do I.
Idris, picture Idris. Absolutely. Cast. Okay? Already done.
Yes, see, look at that, perfect. And that's also really great, though, because we can actually kind of cast the film for ourselves, which is also nice. So if we start telling you online who we're casting, and you do it, we want producer credit. The film gets done. We ain't just doing this for fun, sir. Okay?
Okay.
Since we're talking about eye candy, sex scenes, Jane, which ones? Yeah. Because there was
Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Well, there's the answer I gave my dad who read the book. And then there's the truth.
We want the truth.
Well, no, we collaborated, but I really do like writing sex scenes in books because I think that doing it in an elevated way, making it part of the story, and making it part of the character's personality, to know that part of them is actually very difficult.
Yeah.
And to do it well. So I enjoy bringing that aspect of the character and to make it more well-rounded into the story. So I contributed. Malcolm did, you know, everything that was raunchy, Malcolm did.
Shout out to Malcolm's bride who was in the room. Now we know she has a very, very nice life. And we'll raise someone, because the scenes are really quite lovely. And ladies, we get ours. Yay! That's right. This is part of a trilogy.
Yes.
And so right now we're focusing on Jordan, Harper, and Robin. So book 2?
Well, yeah, like you said, you know, each chapter is dedicated to their own POV, and we rotate for whatever the story is. And the goal was to, like, okay, let's wrap up their story, and then we would go to the next book to talk about Lance and Jasmine, that's his new bride, Murch and Candace. But as we were writing, and as the story dictates, as characters tell you what they want and tell you what where they're going to go, it turns out that we're still going to continue Harper, Robin, and Jordan's story, but we're going to add the other characters to it as well. And so it's really...
Because there's a nasty old cliffhanger at the end, y'all.
It's not nasty, it's nice.
Is it?
It's nice cliffhanger. It's you know, it's like it's gonna make you say, what? That's the end?
Yes.
It's definitely surprising.
Yeah.
But can we call it a messy cliffhanger?
If you must.
Well, that's what get the people going, you know, on the
Yeah,
interweb.
I don't know. It is complicated. I'll say that.
I mean, these people, they love their characters. They be so... It's complicated.
Yeah, it's
When y'all get to the end, y'all gonna be like, this is a mess.
It's a good mess.
It's a good mess. I did want to shout out Storehouse Voices.
Yes.
Your publisher, because I didn't realize it's all black females.
Right.
And of course, you paid homage to your mother with this book as well. Talk a little bit about black women and your trajectory.
Listen, I mean, without black women, I was honored. I had the honor of being honored in December by the Critics Awards, and my speech was all about how black women have elevated me and been an integral part of my life and of my career. And my mother was definitely the number one, right? Because she brought me in the world. She taught me so many things. She was a avid reader. She taught people to read. And so it's funny too, because when it came time to dedications and acknowledgments, I don't think I had my mother in mind for when I was writing this book, particularly during the sex scenes. But when it came, I was like, oh, of course it should be my mother, because she just was that person that believed in me, that loved the best man, that was very happy for my success in my career, and she was always so you always want to be on the phone. So what happened, and where did that, and where'd you go, and da da da. So I think this would be something she really would enjoy. She would have ate it up. She has books still in my dad's house. Like that's just like all over the place, right? Like she was a voracious reader.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
I wish we had some Sable bourbon to toast to your mom. So let's talk a little bit about Sable. So guys, all brown liquor is all throughout The Best Man. But now it's actually come to life. They have their own bourbon brand. Give it up. Malcolm, tell us about your partners in Sable.
Yeah, after Best Man Final Chapters that was on Peacock, still #1 on Peacock. Harold, there was always, whenever the fellas got together, there was, a brown liquor, brown spirit that was, part of their gathering, whether they're playing cards or hanging out or what have you. And so Harold was like, we do a lot of brown liquor in this show. Like, why don't we do our own? And I was like, all right, yeah, let's see what's up. So, between Harold, myself, Morris, and Tay, we teamed up. We approached Bespoken Spirits. We said, hey, this is what we want to do. It's like, unlike a lot of, celebrity endorsed brands, nobody came to us and said, hey, will you put your name on this? It was like, no, we want to do this as a group, as a brotherhood, because it is bottled in brotherhood. That's one of our slogans. And it was just a symbol of our friendship, our brotherhood, the fact that we like working together, and and we're also owners in the brand. So we really wanted to do this thing, and everything from the juice itself. That's what they call. That's what they call the liquor.
That's right.
They call it the juice, right? So everything from the juice to the bottle to the labeling to the font, to the cork, it was all, we all agreed on what it should be and what it should feel like, and we launched late last year, and we keep going. So, and I made sure that we had some tonight, and
Yes.
make sure that that I planted it in the book.
Yes.
I got a new movie coming out where it's planted as well.
Yep.
Everywhere Sable. Even if it's a
Right.
kids movie, there's gonna be some Sable in it.
Here you go. Teach them early.
Yeah. But
so-
kids, don't drink. Don't drink brown liquor.
Yeah, well, it's a FUBU moment for us, by us, and that's the reason why this is a very important book, as I told you, published by Black folks, written by Black folks, and so we all know that we have to look out for ourselves, and we have to start really supporting Black-owned entities. So please make sure that you're going out and you're buying several copies there in the bookstore right here.
Yeah, I mean, I think also the First Best Man was buoyed by Black folks saying, you got to go see this movie. You got to, and they sent emails back in the day.
Yeah.
They said, okay, you got to come see this picture, and went all the way to a #1 box office ranking. So I hope that we are #1 on that New York Times bestseller list. That we show the world that we want to see ourselves, we want to read about ourselves in these ways that is emblematic of the Best Man and the Best Man franchise. So tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Certainly, please post as well. And we're going to have a little reception afterwards, so you'll be able to get the photos with him and with Jane. And so post those and go and buy the book and post that. So, okay. Now, in the meantime, in between time, I am going to give you guys an opportunity to ask questions. But here's the rules. Y'all know I'm strict. It's about the book. I love that you're a writer, an actor, a producer, a director, but you ain't. This ain't for that, okay?
Not open up to.
So we're gonna ask questions around the books. You can ask questions about future books coming, but it's around the book, okay? So do we have microphones or? Make your way to the back if you want to ask questions, guys, and we have them on both sides of the house. Don't be shy.
Hello. Hi, my name is Evanique Levinsky, Vice President of Global Philanthropy at JP Morgan. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Yes.
You know how to do an introduction.
And that's called Black excellence.
But most importantly, thank you for writing the stories that showed us that we have just as much agency to live as we do to survive. And my question to you is, during your dedication, you mentioned your great-grandfather and Stonehill Institute, and I wanted to know how your family's legacy of education informs your narrative structure of humanizing stories.
Thank you for that question. That's I think just every day. That's just part of my DNA. This is who I come from. These are my people. My great grandfather went to Tuskegee. He wrote about his experiences. 25 years in the Black Belt. He was probably the first writer in the family, right? And it was his memoir, and he was a disciple of Booker T. And Booker T said, "Go educate your people. Go to the rural communities and educate your people." And that's the legacy I come from. He built a school, Stonehill Institute, where many Black children were educated, including my dad's family, and that's the legacy I come from. And my father's generation. My father's here, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Raise your hand, Mr. Lee. All right, there he is.
Wow.
And so, one of
Come on, patriarch.
one of 7 children, and that they all had to get educated and learn music, right? And they all went to HBCUs, and yep. And that was what was expected of me, to get an education. That was going to be your pathway to success. And my father was like, "You going to a Black school?" Right? I didn't quite see it. He had sent me to all these private schools, that were predominantly white, and I just, there was a bit of a disconnect for me to say, "Oh, now you're gonna be around all Black people. You've been around all white people." So I was like, well, I wanted a balance, and I ended up going to Georgetown, and and at the time, gee, woo, yeah,
Y'all are not gonna co-opt Howard's chance.
hey, that's our own chance. That's our own chance. Chicken and egg. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But that's the legacy that that was my foundation. So it's all part of my DNA, and I'm glad that I came from that stock, and I'm glad my dad moved to New York and met my mom.
The floor is open for questions.
They have no questions.
Oh, there we
here's
go.
somebody.
Hi, my name is Flo James. I'm an author and a podcast host. But I know Bev said don't ask any questions about me. But anyway, what I want to know, when you wrote the book with Jane, did you feel that the book was easier to write, or is the script easier to write? What is your feelings about that?
They both have their challenges. I think with a book, you have a lot more freedom. You can't put everything in a script. You can't put everything in a novel either. I mean, we got to a place where we were like, okay, we're a little bit long here. Let's start cutting some stuff out of here. But no, it's certainly, it's a different muscle, but one that I fully embraced. And Jane was there to kind of push me in certain directions and challenge me on how to, create scenes. And I'd be like, no, let's just keep going. She'd be like, no, well, let's slow down a second. Let's talk about how we're going to do thematically. What are we doing? What is this scene about? And then I'm just like, I don't want to look at this Zoom screen no more. We got to go. And so it was a challenge, but also one that, I love and I fully embraced it. It was such a pleasure to work with Jane, and we found our rhythm. And there were times where she'd write a scene and I'd be like, and then, and then we found our rhythm together, and we're very, very proud of where this ended up.
Thank you for that question, love. Do we have any more questions?
Well, we could talk a little bit about the collaboration for 2
Yeah.
seconds, if we could. But it was a lot of conversation about life, and we had an amazing editor with Chelsea Johns, and when we and it was once we had the story down and we had the manuscript down. When it was editing time, that was when it was really crunch time. And at one point, we were trading drafts between, I think, 3 time zones, 2 continents. You were in South Africa. I was in Los Angeles. Chelsea was in New York, and it was just really a team effort.
Yeah.
And something that we're really, really proud of. So thanks to Chelsea.
Yeah,
also.
absolutely. Yeah. Chelsea was the one that, that championed the product. We went to a couple of different, I had gone to a couple of different publishers even before, I had Jane on, and there was, I wouldn't call it a bidding war, because Chelsea was like, this is what we're gonna do. Here's what we're offering. And other people, I was like, y'all gonna offer that? Y'all offering that? And they weren't, and Chelsea really believed in what this could be. And I think, we came up with something that I think is really gonna surprise people, titillate people, excite people, make them laugh, make them feel, get all the feels.
Yeah. And it will stand the test of time, I will tell you that, because it's well written. No fluff in there. Hi, young man, would you like to ask a question?
Yes, I would. Name is Clement Gibson, HBCU alum. Shout out to I love Jackson State if we got anybody in the house, if not.
Okay. Well, we support all the HBCUs.
I just have a couple questions I want to pack into one. One, I want to talk about your experience. When did you decide that you were going to write the book? And then you talked about the trilogy with the last, not so much book, but bringing the other pictures to life. Do you picture a world where we would see this trilogy come to the big screen?
As I've said, I wanted these books to be books. I wanted them to be literary. I wanted them to be, let the words, do the storytelling. you know, as I said, it's incredibly difficult to get those level of actors in one space again and get a studio to say, okay, we'll, you know, make this. Now, that being said, if they say, we really want to see what we can do with this, I'll listen. I'll certainly listen, but, you know, right now, we have this book to promote. We have 2 more books to write. And that is what we're concentrating on.
Yeah. Did that answer your question, babe?
And when did you get the idea to write the book?
Let's see. You know, a good friend of mine, his name is Malcolm Spellman. He's from Oakland. And he was like, Malk, you own Peacock now. You own Peacock, okay? So you need to write some best man books. You need to do some best man cruises. You need to do best man video games. Yo, and I was like, Malcolm, easy.
Ain't wrong, though.
He's not wrong.
Hey, wait.
How many of us would go on the Best Man cruise?
Okay, good to know. So I had always wanted to, you know, get into novel writing. I've been fantasizing about it and wanting to try my hand at it. And so, yeah, I would say it was, you know, after Best Man Final Chapters, you know, it was very tough. And the dust settled and the smoke cleared, and I was like, well, maybe there is more story to tell, because I thought there wasn't. And I think, and I felt like part of that was because of how difficult it was for production. So here's an opportunity to do that. So I would say probably mid-fall of 2023 or so. Chelsea might remember, but, you know, around that time. And then, you know, I had to find a collaborator, and, you know, I read a number of things. I met with a number of authors, and, you know, and here came Jane Allen.
Yeah.
And, you know, she really did get me with that question. But, like, you know, she has a wealth of experience. You know, she was an attorney. She used to work for, can I say? Yeah. Used to work for Prince. You know, yeah. You know, Lady Gaga. I mean, she's been around the block, right? She had a wealth of experience just as a human being. So I was like, oh, that's, and she, you know, very similar. You know, she went to Duke. I ain't hating. She went to Duke. You know, another, you know, PWI. You know, with a basketball program. And so, you know, there was a synergy, a kinship, and when we were talking, you know, and getting to know each other, she was like, why are you doing this? I said, well, I want to, you know, exercise a new muscle. I want to try something different. Da, da, da. She was like, no. Why do you want to do this? I said, you know, this is, no, do you want to win? And I was like, well, what do you mean? She was like, well, you know, are you just trying this out, you know, or do you want to, like, you know, do something significant that's culturally impactful? And I was like, yeah. Yeah, I want to do that. And that was that made, besides her writing, that made her stand out a lot to me, that question. So I was like, I like this lady, and I think I can, you know, do something good with her. So.
And we like this lady too.
Yes.
That's right. We only have time for one more question, so my love, and make it a good one because you're the last question.
I'll try to make it a good one. My name is Crystal Black Davis, and I have a question. I'm pretty sure everyone in the audience is also thinking this as well. But is there any plan to write the actual book that caused all the drama in the movie? I want to read that.
Oh my God, that's good.
Now, it's funny that you said that, because years ago, I was approached, almost like definitely over a decade, maybe even 2 decades ago, I was approached by another publisher that asked that very question. And I thought about it, and, you know, it's possible, but I will say this: stay tuned.
Ooh. Another cliffhanger.
Yeah, right.
Bevy, before you wrap
Jane
us up.
Allen,
before you wrap us up, I have one little question.
okay.
Please. So my little question really is, because you all have been talking about cliffhangers, and I know that there's a trilogy. So when will the next one, like how quickly will you all be releasing these books behind? Now, I ask that knowing that we're in this one and we're going to be in this one. I look forward to being in this one because it is incredible. It is tantalizing, is the right word. It is cinematic, so it really is the best of both of your all's world. But I'm also curious because I know sometimes these books can come out pretty quickly, and so I was just curious, like, are we going to be in a 3-year stint and a 4-year? I want to know when I'm going to visit my friends again, is basically what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Oh, more cliffhangers.
I just
More cliffhangers.
did I hear it correctly? I don't know.
Oh, we almost forgot. We are doing a giveaway, yes?
Yes. So, I know you're here. We thank you for coming. So, I hope you bought a book. And when you're leaving the auditorium, this will be given out. Now, there's only one size, so don't be saying, oh, can I get a this or can I? No. Take the size that's given to you, okay? And if it don't fit you, give it to somebody that do fit, okay? Don't mess with this. We're not doing that, all right?
And it's great for you to wear at Essence, at the Delta convention that's coming up, at the Vineyard.
Yeah.
Just wear it all
Don't
the
wear it to
popular
the gym,
places.
though. Don't be sweating this joint up. All right, have some respect. But wear it proudly, and that's the back. We feel like we have given a gift with the Best Man Unfinished Business, and this is just a little on top. Okay,
Yes.
so.
Well, as we wrap up this particular program, we want to invite these gentlemen here to present these flowers.
Those are my sons.
Oh my God! Hi, sons.
Is that for me or for us? Give that to Jim.
Thank you.
Do I get one too?
Oh,
You get one too. Oh,
Thanks,
thank you.
buddy.
for me, right? It's for me, sweetie.
Oh, yeah.
Meal said it's for me.
Right. Exactly. That's what I thought. That's what I was going to give it to you
Thank
anyway.
you, young man.
My wife gave those flowers.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Camille.
Oh, well.
Thank
You
you.
see how that went? Nobody told me. Nobody gave me the script.
We'll share.
Thank you, Malcolm D.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Jane
very much.
Allen. Everyone, please, go to the bookstore right now, buy the book, because then he'll sign. It's sold out? Yay!
Love it.
So before you all leave, another just important point to note that this is the debut book for this imprint. So let's really give a round of applause to the editors and the publishers. We're going to invite them up on stage as well. And so while you may not still be able to get a copy of the book, even though there are 2 copies here, so if the bookstore did not tell you that you have one of the 2 copies on the stage, there are 2 more books that we can sell that are here on the stage, for 1. And 2, if you were not able to get it tonight, you can order it from our website at the Schomburg shop. I will also suggest and recommend ordering it perhaps from your favorite Black bookstore, but you can get this Lit Bar in the Bronx, Sisters. There's another new one that opened in Brooklyn. Mahogany Books is also online and in DC. So there are a lot of places where you can get this book. Let's make sure that we help to push this book forward. Thank you all for being such an incredible audience.